From Hollywood. Welcome to the Rat's Ass Podcast with Mojo Elliott.
Thank God it's Friday!
Oh, hell yes, it's Friday. And I'm working today with a temperature of 101.1. I've got a head cold and a chest cold, but I'm not contagious. Maybe just a little outrageous. And boy, do I have an action-packed Wild Hair episode for you today. Are you ready to go? All right, here's what's on tap on the Wrap. The Plane, The Boss, and Comey did a bad thing. Slumlord California Governor Gavin Newsom is on the warpath we'll tell you about. How many political parties do we really have in D.C.? There's more than you think. We've got the 6 reasons why women cheat on their menfolk, and did Charlie Hustle get screwed or what? Another round of head trauma is on the way. We're going to play It Sounds Dirty, but it's not. Plus our usual loose behavior. The Friday Funny, Celebrity Cheese, your email from our Gmail. One more thing, and we've got shout-outs to Rat Nation and the Resistance. Coming up today on the Rat's Ass Podcast. All right, Rat Nation currently has 315 members. And if you haven't joined yet, what's stopping you? I'm telling you, when this thing hits 1,000 members, you're going to see some serious boogaloo. So go check it out, ratsasspodcast.com. And if it's right for you, sign up. If not, it's no skin off our Astrobula. You'll just miss out on all the fun. I am vacationing this month, believe it or not. And we're going to kick off Season 3 on June 2nd, but I have been doing these Wild Hair hiatus episodes every Friday. We're going to do one today. We did one last Friday. We'll do one next Friday before we kick off Season 3. I'm going to take off for Memorial Day weekend. I got dead people I got to go see. All right, in case you missed it, the Democrats' heads are exploding this week after Qatar, or Qatar. Somebody calls it, I've always thought it was Qatar. Some of the news media are calling it Qatar now, so I don't know what the difference is. Alexa, what is the correct pronunciation of Qatar? Qatar.
I don't give a rat's patootie.
Well, I do. Okay, we'll just go with Qatar because that's the way I've always heard it. Anyway, they gifted the United States a really cool 747 airplane, and it was actually gifted to the Department of Defense, not directly to Donald Trump, as the despicable Democrats are claiming. You know, Air Force One is about 35 years old. Do you really want the commander-in-chief flying around? I mean, not just across the United States. We're talking around the world in a plane that's 35 years old. I know the Democrats do. Let's face it. But God, when you think about it, how many presidents have dropped a deuce in that plane? We got, 1990. Okay, so we're looking at George Bush Sr., Bill Clinton, George W. Bush. W stands for Weasel. Then we had Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden. Oh, my God. They should have just flown Air Force One out in the middle of the ocean. Pilot parachuted out of the plane, just let it drop. After Joe Biden was there. Yee. Okay. Boy, that'll sober you up real quick, won't it? But if you really want to solve the issue, and the Democrats shit fit over this, just buy it for $1. Just buy it for $1. All right, Bruce Springsteen, who was 75 years old and hasn't put out a decent album since The River in 1980, in my humble opinion, was doing a show in the UK and went off on Trump, saying that the U.S. government is now in the hands of an incompetent, treasonous dictator who was suppressing speech and ruining our relationships with our allies. Now, when I first heard the soundbite, I thought, Jesus Christ, does Bruce know that Biden isn't president anymore? He was describing him to a T. So, Bruce, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself, buddy, or you're going to wish you were born outside of the USA, if you know what I'm saying. All right, former FBI Director James Comey, a 6'8" pile of donkey dung, posted a photo on Instagram of some seashells that spelled out 8647. Now, 86 in the restaurant bar world means to kick them out. But around the world, in some of the military circles, 86 means to kill. Kill. And you got the 47 after that. Clearly, that was meant for Donald Trump. Now, Comey wrote on Instagram, cool shell formation on my beach walk, and then he deleted it. Because I'm sure he got a phone call from somebody saying, hey, buddy, you know what? You just stirred the pot. Shit's going to hit the fan here. So he went on to Instagram, deleted it, and posted what looked like an apology, saying he didn't realize 8647 meant something violent, and he was against violence. Yeah. You know what? You can pull my middle leg, and it'll play the theme from Dragnet, okay? Oh, very funny, Fleabag. But you know what makes this story fishy to me? The apology. He got the call saying the shit's going to hit the fan, and he tried to cover up his guilt by saying, "Oh, I'm not for violence." But he's under investigation now by the current FBI, Secret Service, for threatening the president's life. Now, Comey, with his background and connections, he's what you would consider a credible threat, I would think. All right, this is California Governor Gavin Newsom. I want you to take a listen to this and tell me if you come away with the same thing I did.
And I'm just, on behalf of the taxpayers of the state, in the spirit of Ashley's question, I'm not interested. I'm just not, as a taxpayer, not just governor, I'm not interested in funding failure anymore. I'm not. I won't. Time to do your job. People are dying on their watch. How do people get reelected? Look at these encampments. They're a disgrace. They've been there years and years and years and years. I've heard that same rhetoric for years. People are dying. Kids are being born. Overdoses. I met a young man, literally, was out there doing Project Homeless Connect, reaching out near the 405 freeway. I found out the next day he was dead. In the name of compassion, because we had a notice. I could have helped him that night. I felt like a fraud. I felt like I let him down. We got to be more aggressive. I saw a young child, a young kid in San Diego. I was with the mayor of San Diego right before his State of the State. This poor kid was addicted to meth. He was a wonderful kid. And he said, "I'm really glad you came." He goes, "I'm struggling." And there in the tent with his wife was a newborn baby. He said, "Thank you for coming." There's no compassion in denying what the hell's going on in the streets and sidewalks. They need to step up. Enough of the rhetoric. I'm serious. Enough of the rhetoric. People are dying in this state. It is a disgrace. It is one of the principal reasons people are so angry. They don't trust politicians. They don't like what they see. I'm sorry to get so intense about it. It's a moral issue. They need to do their job. And if they can't do it, let me know. Just say, "We give up." And then we'll intervene.
Who wants to tell the slumlord that he's the frickin' governor and the buck stops with him? Nice of him to want to intervene 7 years into his governorship. Very nice of him to want to take charge now. Newsom never takes responsibility for anything. He always blames someone else, always looking for somebody else to blame. And he wants to be president in 2028. I'll tell you right now, you got to be out of your damn mind to vote for this buffoon. Really. My takeaway from this is simply this. The slumlord is admitting he's a complete failure. But again, he's looking for somebody else to blame because it's not his fault. All right, have you ever wondered how many political parties we really have in Washington, D.C.? I know on the surface there's Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and my party, the Libertarian Party, but there's more. And I thought about this. I'm on vacation, and this is what I'm thinking about. I got to have my head examined. All right, inside D.C., there is the Uniparty that makes up Democrats and Rhino Republicans, and they're hell-bent on holding up Trump's agenda. We're seeing it now with the big, beautiful bill. Now, I would define them potentially as the new Democratic Party, because I'll bet, again, I love to bet my third nut, as you know. This is where the next Democratic presidential candidate is going to come from. That's what I'm betting on. We got 3.5 years before we find out, though, right? Then you have the radical left, who we just bounced last November. They've kind of hijacked the Democratic Party, hijacked the brand. Then you have a small fraction of Republicans who still exist. And we don't really hear too much about them. But these are the ones who will probably help President Trump get his agenda across the finish line. They're trying. And then, of course, you have MAGA. Okay? And this party, like I've said before, feels more like a combination of independents and libertarians, or pretty damn close. I mean, it's definitely a party that believes in limited government, personal freedom, and capitalism. And to me, that's the definition of a libertarian. I know, I've been one since 1988. We've just never had a real good candidate. Maybe Ross Perot back in 92, maybe. So you can agree or disagree with that. But that's how I see it, and I hope I've given you something to consider for the next 4 or 5 seconds. While we do this.
Let's give it up for my fuzzy buddy Mojo Elliott with Rat Sports.
All right, there is a lot to unpack from this past week. I didn't realize how much news happens from Friday to Friday, but it's a bunch. All right, the NFL schedules are out. The NBA and NHL playoffs are heading towards their conference finals. And the big story this week, Major League Baseball Commissioner lifted the bans on Pete Rose and shoeless Joe Jackson, making them eligible for the Baseball Hall of Fame. You know, I'm all for it, but I really think Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose, got screwed in this deal. Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, lifted the ban, but he came up with this lame-ass excuse saying, well, dead players are no longer a threat to the integrity of the game. Integrity of the game. Baseball's so worried about its integrity. Well, I mean, you just had a bunch of guys shooting up steroids, hitting home runs at, a clip of 60 to 70 a season, and you had no problems taking the money then, did you? And then you went out and screwed those players by saying, oh, no, they infected the integrity of the game. You don't think the all-time hit king Pete Rose helped build baseball in the 70s? Keep it alive when you had competition from the NFL, NBA, NHL, all of these other sports coming on? Yeah, you have integrity, all right. Now, this comes just over 7 months after Pete died. I heard someone say, well, it's for the families, so they can celebrate. And that's fine. But the families didn't lay it out on the field between the lines, did they? Pete Rose, the all-time hit king, 4,256 hits. He played in more winning games than any other player in history. Now, at a minimum, Pete should have been in the Hall of Fame for what he did as a player. What he did as a manager, they could have put him in the Hall of Fame for that. And they like their asterisks. Fine, put an asterisk that he was banned from baseball as a coach, as a manager. They could have done that, but they didn't want to do it. So he could have at least, Rob Manfred, could have at least took Pete aside before he was in ill health, 84 years old. Said, you know what, Pete, we're going to lift the ban after you die, and we'll make you eligible for the Baseball Hall of Fame then. What have been the harm in that? Giving the man some peace before he went to meet his maker. So for how you handled this, Rob Manfred, you can just kiss my rebel ass, buddy. All right, the NFL schedules for each team are out, and I only really give a rat's ass about the Raiders. I'm excited for this team this year. I say that every year, and they always disappoint me, but I posted the schedule on the Rat's Ass Podcast Facebook page if you want to check it out. Preseason and regular season games, but they have a very winnable schedule. I mean, if they can go 3-3 against their division opponents, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos, and then they can turn around and beat New England, Chicago, Indianapolis, Tennessee, Jacksonville, Dallas, and Cleveland, plus the New York Giants. That's 10-11 wins right there, playoff bound. So I'm being maybe a little too optimistic, but think of the possibilities, Raider Nation. It's time to be excited about football and what could be. And the Raiders are going to be a more improved team than they were last year. Pete Carroll's a hell of a coach. I'm really excited to see this team perform. Can't wait. All right, let's see how I'm doing with the NBA and NHL playoff predictions. Overall, I am 13-7 right now, predicting winners in the NBA and NHL performance. Not my best work, but I'll tell you this, next time, I'm not going to pick winners by playing Eeny, Meeny, Mighty, Mo. I'm going to play Akabaka, Stonakaka, Akabaka, Boo. I think it has a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for there? Forget about it. The NyQuil took it away. Anyway, you can verify my playoff picks for the NBA and NHL playoffs at the Rat's Ass Podcast blog. That is at ratsasspodcast.com. ratsasspodcast.com. And that's sports on the Wrap.
Rat's Ass Podcast. Head trauma.
All right, today we're playing It Sounds Dirty, but it's not. Here are your 3 clues, and you have to guess what this is from the clues. I'm famous for sitting on something big and hard. I had a massive crack, and lots of men went to work on me. All right, one more time. It sounds dirty, but it's not. I'm famous for sitting on something big and hard. I had a massive crack, and lots of men went to work on me. All right, think about it. I'll have the answer for you coming up a little bit later on the podcast.
It's time for some loose behavior on the Rat's Ass Podcast.
Finally Friday. Yes. I should check my temperature while we do this because I was at 101.1 when we started. We might be getting hotter. We could be getting cooler. I don't know. But this is where I do dig into my comedy archives and pull out something that'll make you hopefully do the pee-pee dance in your pants. Have you ever wondered what happens when an all-white class meets a black substitute teacher? Let's find out from Key and Peele.
All right, listen up, y'all. I'm y'all substitute teacher, Mr. Garvey. I taught school for 20 years in the inner city, so don't even think about messing with me. Y'all feel me? Okay, let's take a roll here. Jay Quellen. Where's Jay Quellen at? No Jay Quellen here? Yeah.
Do you mean Jacqueline?
Okay, so that's how it's gonna be. Y'all wanna play. Okay then. I've got my eye on you, Jay Quellen. Balake. Where is Balake at? There's no Balake here today. Yes, sir.
My name's Blake.
Are you out of your goddamn mind? Blake. What? Do you want to go to war, Balake?
No.
Because we could go to war.
No.
I'm for real. I'm for real. So you better check yourself. D Nice. Is there a D Nice? If one of y'all says some silly ass name, this whole class is gonna feel my wrath. Now, D Nice.
Do you mean Denise?
Son of a bitch. You say your name right now.
Denise?
Say it right.
Denise.
Correctly.
Denise.
Right.
Denise.
Right.
D-Nice.
That's better. Thank you. Now, Ron, where are you? Where is Ron right now? No Ron, huh? Well, you better be sick, dead, or mute, Ron.
Here? Oh, man.
Why didn't you answer me the first time I said it, huh?
Huh?
I'm just asking you. I said it like 4 times. So why didn't you say it the first time I said Ron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
Son of a...
Hey, heads up. Here comes your celebrity cheese.
It never gets old. All right, Sean Diddy Combs' trial continues this week. And we've seen some of the most bizarre behavior we've seen displayed by a human being since Bill Cosby. Now, I've taken a few emails from people telling me that I've taken this issue a little bit too light. Yes, I have, because that's what we do on the Rat's Ass podcast. I mean, who in the hell has 764 dildos hanging from their wall? It's comedy gold, by the way. But let me make this clear, based on your emails that have come in recently. I was raised by a single mother and 3 beautiful sisters. And any man who lays a hand on a woman, hands down, needs to go down. Now, the video of Diddy pulling Cassie Ventura down the hall by her hair at a hotel, even if she knowingly knew and agreed to participate in these so-called freak-offs, it is unacceptable. And at no time should a man ever do bodily harm to a woman. Period. End of story. Do you feel me? Justin Bieber's friends are worried that he's now in a cult because he's cut a lot of people out of his life. Now, it couldn't be because he's got a brand new bouncing baby boy named Jack that he'd like to spend time with, could it? You know who Justin's friends are? The Leaches, who are living off his $300 million, and they're trying to shake him back out by using the media to make him feel bad. Oh, come and take me back in. All they want to do is get back on the gravy train with biscuit wheels. So my advice to Justin is to just kind of hang low, blood, and we'll catch you on the mild side, okay? Bill Belichick, now known more for his relationship with Jordan Hudson, who is 48 years younger, we always got to add that, than what he was doing on the field as a football coach in New England. Now, he sat down with GMA's Michael Strahan. He's the guy with the goalpost teeth that you can kick a football between. They discussed his new book, and at one point, Strahan brought up his relationship with Hudson. He had to. That's just good media reporting, by the way. Bill did nothing but praise Jordan, though, through the process. But Strahan did go for the gotcha moment, but Bill knows how to keep it straight, man. He knows how to keep that sweet, young, wang-dang, sweet poontang coming. Yeah, guarantee you, Billy got some action that night. All right, President Trump is taking credit for Taylor Swift's downfall. I mean, she's just taking a break. I think she's probably still pretty popular. But he said Swift no longer was hot since he said he didn't care for her. Now, I hate to burst Donald's bubble, but the image of Travis Kelce going, "Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?" with Taylor probably had more to hurt her relationship than anything that Donald Trump did. All right. Hey, in case you lost track, Britney Spears has now been single for 87 days.
Who gives a rat's ass?
Rat's Ass Podcast. email from our Gmail.
All right, as you know, I do not read your email in advance. Fleabag forwards me your name, where you're from, and edits them down so I can answer them rapid fire and on the fly. All right, Robbie T., Milwaukee, Wisconsin wrote, what have you done to get even with somebody who screwed you? You know, a friend, a boss, an ex-girlfriend, anyone. Well, Robbie, I could give you some hard-ass answer like, I don't get screwed, but I'd be lying. My approach has always been kind of simple. I ask, gee, what did I learn from this experience so I don't make that mistake again and just move on? You know, friends, just cut them off. Cut them off for good. They weren't really your friend if they did something to you that made you feel screwed. Bosses, who cares? There's always going to be another one coming. Maybe better, maybe worse. Girlfriends, hey, thanks for the sex. It was good, but I was single before I met you. On to the next one we go. Life's too damn short, Robbie, to actively seek revenge on anybody. You kill them by living well. I know that's an old saying, but it is so true, and that's why we have Facebook. Because you can either make it up or you can be real and say, look at how successful I am. Amber Q, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm a huge Disney fan, and with you living in L.A., I'm surprised you never talk about it. Oh, there's a reason, Amber. I get nightmares when I think about Disneyland. Yes, I do. I worked at Disneyland one time. No, when I did mornings at KZY in Anaheim back in the late 80s, early 90s, every frickin' Friday, we did a show from Main Street in Disneyland. I've been back one time since 1981. And I said, oh, okay. That was a big mistake and a waste of money. I mean, my God, I read the report the other day that if you're from out of town, it will cost you close to a family of four, $1,500 for one day to get into Disneyland. Really? Are you that nuts for the mouse? Really? Try Universal Studios. It's a heck of a lot more fun. All right, Mike K. from Cummings, Georgia. Who do you think ultimately wins the NBA and NHL championships? Well, now that the Lakers are out, I've watched everybody play. I really like the New York Knicks. I mean, they've got their hands full with Boston, and they're without Jason Tatum, so I think they'll wrap up that series. And I'd like to see them play Minnesota because you've got a storyline there. They made a big trade in the offseason, if you remember this right. Karl Anthony Towns went to the Knicks. Julius Randle went to Minnesota. So it'd kind of be fun to watch those guys square off against each other in the finals. In the NHL, Edmonton looks like the team to beat. They look stellar right now. They're just the hot team. Sometimes it's the hot team that wins, too. So I'm going to go with Edmonton. All right, Patricia B., Edwardsville, Illinois. And by the way, I do know it's pronounced Illinois. I know I say jokingly that it's Illinois, but I've had this debate for years. If it's pronounced Illinois, drop the damn S. Because it does look like Illinois. But I just wanted to point that out, all right? What are the top 3 things you miss about radio? Oh, golly, okay. God, there's so many things I don't miss. There's some things I do, but a lot of things I don't. So what don't I miss about radio? First thing that pops into my head is recruiting and interviewing talent. God, I used to enjoy it, and then after you do something like that for a number of years, you just get tired of it. And it got harder and harder through the years to find really good talent, too, by the way. When everybody was really good and you had piles of air checks, which are just like audition tapes on your desk, it was challenging and it was fun. But as radio kind of winded down over the years because of AI and different things, it was hard to find really good talent. So I don't miss that part of it. Probably dealing with the politics, egos, corporate bullshit. That wasn't fun. Don't miss that at all. I'd say number one, this is going to tick some of you off, but don't hate me for saying it. But the number one thing I don't miss about radio is listening to frickin' country music. All right, Jake P. from Cape May, New Jersey. I met this girl a few months ago from Baltimore, and we've reached the point where she wants me to move to Baltimore, and I want her to move here to Cape May. So far, neither one of us is willing to bend. What's the answer here? Well, I really need more details, Jake, to be honest with you. I mean, do you both have jobs where you can transfer? I mean, if you don't have jobs where you can transfer, that makes it rough. That's a tough challenge because you're talking about a career change here to make it work. It used to be women went to where the men were. Yeah, not anymore. Women expect you to uproot yourselves, gentlemen, and move for them instead of the other way around. Now, to be straight with you, if neither one of you are willing to bend, why don't you just keep things as they are? Because you know what? These things have a way of just working themselves out. All right, Logan D. from Charleston, West Virginia said, I'm really digging your YouTube channel. Thank you. Appreciate that. He said, thanks for bringing back the rock. Speaking of which, how does a new rock band get on your YouTube channel? You know, that's a good question, Logan. Right now, we've got, we've got concerts up there. We've got classic rock. We've got prime rock. We've also got the top 10 rock videos of the week. I would absolutely love to hear a new rock band sending me stuff. And if it's good, create another sub-channel of just, new rock discovery, something like that. So just send it to me at ratsasspodcast@gmail.com, and we'll take a listen. And if you have any questions or comments, do the same. Send it to Fleabag at ratsasspodcast.com. The more outrageous and the salacious, the better, as you know.
Rat's Ass Podcast. Head trauma.
All right, today we are playing It Sounds Dirty, but It's Not. All right, here were your 3 clues we gave you. You got to guess what this is. I'm famous for sitting on something big and hard. I had a massive crack, and lots of men went to work on me. Did you figure it out? Do you have it? Do you know what it is? If you said Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
But if you missed it, go see your doctor about your head trauma and get well soon. All right, I've got to go catch up with Moose Knuckle Mike and Camel Toe Candy. It's going to be a nice day at the beach.
Oh boy, Moose Knuckle Mike and Camel Toe Candy, can I come too?
No, Alexa. The last time we got together with them, you pissed off Candy because you kept talking dirty to Mike.
But he liked it, he loved it, and wants some more of it.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he does. But it's still enough.
Why don't you just kiss my big fat hairy boom boom maker?
You know what? I just might if you promise to shave it first.
That's just about enough of that.
Okay, Mom. All right, but I do have one more thing for you. Did you know there are 6 reasons why women cheat on their menfolk? Yeah, only 6. So, guys, you got to pay attention to this if you want to keep her locked in the bedroom, okay? Oh, I'm going to hear for that one, too. A lack of emotional connection. They feel unwanted. They don't feel appreciated. That's a big one. They're not satisfied emotionally. You don't make them laugh. You don't make them cry enough. And they're looking for a thrill. You know, there's the old saying, you see a good-looking girl broken up with a boyfriend, and they say, yeah, there's always a girl out there, and a guy's just tired of banging her. Well, it works both ways, guys. So they do look for those thrills, so you got to find a way to make it thrilling. And they no longer trust him, and they will seek revenge. So just keep that in mind, fellas. I mean, Jesus, ladies, you really need 6 reasons? Men really only need 1, and it's called blue balls.
I'll give you some bruised balls right after you do the shout-outs to Rat Nation.
Hey, Alexa, don't threaten me with a good time, okay? Welcome to Rat Nation. Ginger Jones of Carlsbad, California. Robert Luzader, Pensacola, Florida. Steve Curtis from Gary, Indiana. And to the Resistance, those of you who email us but haven't joined Rat Nation yet. Christine M. from Boise, Idaho. Alex Greenhorn from Santa Fe, New Mexico. And from Walla Walla, Bing Bang, Washington, Donovan Reed. And around the world to listeners in Taiwan, France, and Mexico. Thank you so much for listening to the Rat's Ass Podcast. We absolutely, positively do appreciate it.
Now's your chance to be one of the few and the loud. Join Rat Nation at ratsasspodcast.com. Membership does have its rewards, you know.
All right, that's it for this episode of the Rat's Ass Podcast. Hope you enjoyed my fever. Be sure to check out the new ratsasspodcast.com to connect with us on the socials, listen to podcasts, join Rat Nation, read the blog. It is information overload. All right, go have a great weekend. Season 3 starts on June 2nd, but I'll be back with another Wild Hair hiatus episode next Friday on May 23rd. Take care of each other, and thanks for dropping by The Wrap.
The conversation continues between podcasts on X and ratsasspodcast.com. ratsasspodcast.com.